Hey, this is Sam, and I will be doing my presentation on Napster and file sharing. This presentation is going to go over a few different topics, and I will start with why Napster was created in the first place. Then I'll describe what it was, the technology behind it, that's the peer-to-peer file sharing, the impact on the industry, its legacy, and finally my opinion. And just for reference, I will be mostly talking about the original Napster and not so much the current one that is out today. However, I will go over it a little bit at the end. All right, so why was Napster created in the first place? So before the days of Napster and online streaming, in order to listen to your favorite tracks on your personal device, you typically bought a CD of the album that the song was on, and this would run you anywhere from $10 to $18. So if there were only a few songs on the album you wanted to listen to, that means you were paying up to $18 for only those songs. And there were some ways around this, like attempting to hunt down the music online and somehow download it. However, this was not a simple task, and even people with technical expertise would frequently run into problems with this method. And on top of that, it was also illegal. So the listener wanted a better experience and easier access to their favorite artists and songs. And this is where Napster came in. If you haven't done it yourself, you probably know somebody who has gone to an illegal music downloading site and downloaded music to put onto their old iPod, burned it onto a CD, or just kept it on the computer. And it made sense because why would you pay money for a song when you can just get it for free? And this notion and this kind of free song downloading site was all made possible by Napster. Created by Sean Fanning and Sean Parker in 1999, Napster was the first service that would allow you to download MP3 files online for free. Soon after its initial debut, it had a massive database of millions of songs, allowing users to search for their favorite artists and download any of their songs as long as the site could find the file. To fans of Napster, this was a vast improvement to their listening experience. To record labels and most artists, it was piracy that was ruining the music industry and taking money away from them. And they weren't wrong. It was very much illegal and responsible for a 33% drop in record and CD sales in a matter of less than a year, and Napster was sued several times by notable names. In addition, unfinished songs were being released, which was undermining the hard work that the artists were putting into their music. In this infamous ad, Kid Rock talks about the piracy of Napster and has a satirical message for its users.
Hey kids, this is Kid Rock with a special announcement for you. This whole debate on downloading music illegally and stealing it, I guess you will, has just really gone way too far. I mean, there's record companies suing kids, and the kids are right in saying that, you can illegally download my music, steal it if you will, because I'm fucking rich. And so how can I bitch about someone downloading a song or two? I really can't. But what I'd like to encourage all of you to do at this point is, it's true, it's just a song. You take the song, you download it, big deal, right? Listen to this. Let's level the playing field. Steal everything. If you need a new MP3 player or computer, do you know how much money Apple and Microsoft have? Go in there, get a new laptop, grab it and run. New iPod, steal it. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they're billionaires. They're not gonna miss a couple iPods and a couple laptops. It's okay. You need a new car? Toyota. Toyota's unbelievable. And it's a foreign car company, so who cares? Go steal a Toyota. Walk on that dealership, hot wire it up, drive it off the lot. Gonna need gas to put in that car, right? You know how much money the oil companies make? Pull up to the gas station, fill her up, take off. Don't even think about paying the bill. They're not gonna miss $30, $40 worth of gas. New pair of jeans. You know how much money Tommy Hilfiger has? He's rich too. Go to your favorite department store, get yourself a new sweatshirt, some new slacks, some new shoes, just put them on and casually walk out.
Now let's talk about the technology behind the piracy. Napster utilized peer-to-peer file sharing, which meant Napster users would be able to access hard drives from other users and see if they had the desired MP3 file on their computer. And here's how it worked. What you needed was a copy of Napster, a shared or public folder on your computer, and an internet connection. The provider of the MP3 file needed, again, a copy of Napster, a public folder, and had to be an active user on Napster. And lastly, of course, they needed the file of their MP3 in the public folder. The process. You would open Napster. Napster would connect you to their server, and you'd be visible to everyone else online. You search for the desired song on Napster's database. If an active Napster user had this song in their public directory, Napster would inform you that the song file had been located. You would then press the download button, and Napster would attempt to establish a connection with the hosting system. If successful, the song would be downloaded. Connection would break, and you had the song to freely listen to on your computer. Napster had a massive impact on the music industry, considering that there were 25 million users by the year 2000. Record labels were looking to end Napster as soon as possible, and in 1999, the Recording Industry Association of America sued Napster. Napster was again sued for copyright infringement and racketeering in 2000 by the band Metallica. Both cases were lost by Napster, and they had to pay millions of dollars. In addition, hundreds of thousands of user profiles and numerous MP3 files were deleted off the site. Shortly after the Metallica lawsuit, Napster was struck with yet another, this time from Dr. Dre and his record label Aftermath Entertainment. Napster once again lost and was forced to remove all of Dr. Dre's songs from the site. And here's a clip from Metallica's drummer Lars Ulrich explaining his frustration with Napster.
That we were working on for the Mission Impossible 2 movie called I Disappear that all of a sudden showed up on radio stations across the country, but it wasn't even mixed, it wasn't even finalized.
I think I actually downloaded that one when I was in college.
Well, there you go.
I was very excited about it.
There you go.
And you know what? I bought the album when it came out.
There you go. But so it sort of showed up on all these radio stations across the country, and we were like, well, how did that happen? And I got a call from our office like the next day. It traces back to something called Napster, and we were like, well, if they fuck with us, we'll fuck with them. And then it sort of turned into it started off a street fight, and then like a month later, it was like, whoa, okay, look at this. And then we were sort of like a little bit like deer caught in headlights, and then obviously we stood our ground and fought the fight. But
in this interview, Joe Rogan talks to James Hetfield, Metallica's lead singer and guitarist, about how destructive Napster was to the music industry and specifically the artists.
That stuff, but there was a lot of bands that didn't, they couldn't sustain themselves, couldn't feed their families because of what happened. And I think the frustrating part was no one really understood that music is our life. If you take that, if you take our, like, the way we want to present our music is part of the art.
Like in an album, meaning like one song leads to the next song, meaning...
Well, like releasing an album. Here's how we'd like to release it.
Right.
We don't want it leaked over here. We don't want this happening. We don't,
Right.
A presentation is part of the art. Like when you walk into an art studio, the artist has been in there putting it together. Like, okay, I want you to see this first, and then that, and then you go here and you get bam, that there's a passion behind that.
Whether you believe Napster was good or bad, it's hard to deny that it forever changed the music industry. It introduced the world to a whole nother way to listen to and consume their favorite music, as well as music they would have never found unless they stumbled upon it on Napster. Studies of Napster have also shown that those users were actually putting more money into the industry by buying more artist merchandise and attending more concerts than non-users. Small artists not signed to a major label were able to put their music on the Napster servers and get attention from millions of people all over the world. These artists were able to make a name for themselves through free exposure. It also may have been a huge motivation for hip-hop's digital mixtape culture, which thrived on sites such as DatPiff. Although the original Napster didn't last very long, it still made big waves in the music industry. Its format was replicated by many other peer-to-peer file-sharing sites and sites that utilize different technologies, like LimeWire. It also forced the hand of the music industry and showed the future of music was online. As we can see today, music is much more accessible to us than it ever has been, and this change was the result of the Napster era. I believe that the change that Napster brought to the world of music was ultimately for the better. It showed that people wanted a better and easier way to consume music, and it helped artists that previously had little or no exposure to try to make a name for themselves. It began the push that moved the music industry to a largely streaming based community, which would inspire the way most of us listen to music now through apps such as Apple Music, SoundCloud, Spotify, etc. However, the immediate impact it had on artists was definitely harmful, and in this case, a misuse of the technology. The massive drop in sales that it caused almost destroyed the music industry entirely. On top of that, it was, of course, completely illegal. The way that Napster was introduced and the blatantly illegal nature of it was very unethical. The ease of access to music was definitely huge and could be seen as positive. However, the way it hurt artists to such a high degree should not be shown in a positive manner. Thank you for listening to my presentation.